This is the Anna Gale Lines Podcast, where we equip you with the tools and insights to take charge of your life and thrive. And here is your host, life coach and author, Anna Gale Lines.
Welcome to the Anna Gale Lines Podcast. I'm your host, Anna Gale Lines, and today we're going to be exploring the profound world of intuition, a guide within often overlooked, yet profoundly influential. In a society bombarded by information and choices, tapping into your intuitive compass can be a game changer. Join us on this journey as we unravel the secrets of listening to your inner wisdom, making decisions aligned with your authentic self. So, what are reasons that people don't listen to their intuition? One is an over-reliance on rational analysis. So, these are people who prioritize rational thinking over intuitive feelings. So they dismiss their gut instincts in favor of logical reasoning. But what I find is that there needs to be a balance between logical thinking and intuitive feelings. So let's say a person comes into your office, you're trying to hire a project manager, and they come into your office and you look at their resume and everything looks like it's on the up and up. You know, they check off all the boxes of things you want in a project manager. And when you're interviewing them and asking them questions, they seem to be the ideal candidate for this position. You just want to hire them right now. But when you tap into your gut, you find you have a check in your spirit. And you don't know why. You can't put your finger on it, but you know that something is wrong. And you know that down the road, you're going to have a problem with this person because you get that check in your spirit. And you've learned from past experience that every time you ignored your gut, you got yourself into trouble. There needs to be a balance. We need to go with our logic, but we also need to go with our intuition. And then a lot of people have a contempt for unpopular ideas. They think that listening to your gut is a fad. It's a new age. It's wishy-washy. But humankind has been listening to their intuition ever since the beginning of time. This is not a new thing, but we in a logical society do not listen to our gut anymore. We don't take the time to be quiet and settle down and listen to what our gut is saying. And then they may be in a situation where their job requires proof rather than intuition. And in that case, they need to actually go with their intuition, but prove what it's saying. And then there are people who have a lack of curiosity. So they just dismiss their intuitive hits and they don't believe what their intuition is telling them. And then there's time constraints. Especially in this fast-paced world, we don't have enough time to, still ourselves and listen to what our intuition is saying. And then maybe a person hasn't tapped into their intuition and have experience with it. So they have a failure of intuition's role in decision making. So what are 10 benefits to listening to your intuition? One is enhanced decision making abilities. When we trust our intuition, it could lead us to quicker and more accurate decision making. It could tap into the subconscious processes of information. It helps us to get clarity on the bigger picture. Listening to our intuition provides us with clarity on the broader perspective of situations. And it gives us increased self-knowledge. Tuning into our intuition fosters self-awareness and a deeper understanding of our own thoughts, feelings, and desires. It gives us better health because trusting your intuition can contribute to better overall well-being. For instance, let's say that you've got a pain in your arm or your back, or you've got a pain in your gut. You've had it for a while, and your intuition starts telling you you should go to the doctor and get that checked out. And you go to a doctor, and the doctor's like, it's nothing. It's this. But your intuition doesn't agree with that. So you go to a different doctor, you get a second opinion, and a third and a fourth, until they finally realize that you have got some kind of disease, maybe cancer or, MS or something. But if you didn't listen to your intuition, you wouldn't know that. And you would be struggling with this condition without knowing what it actually was. And your intuition is what led you to actually go to a doctor. And listening to our intuition can strengthen our relationships. We could foster connections and understanding in relationships. It could help us avoid people who are bad for us and help us connect with people who are good for us. And our intuition enables swift responses in complex and unfamiliar situations, facilitating effective decision making without overthinking. It could also give us creative boosts. So following your intuition could lead you to more creative thinking. For instance, I'll be working on a novel, and if I go with my intuition and put my character into that situation, it leads to me being able to finish the novel because it is giving more intensity. It's giving a problem that I can fix. But sometimes when I'm in the middle of a novel and I don't have that intuitive hit, I get writer's block. And I have a hard time finishing the novel. I tend to get that roadblock in the middle of the novel. I'm okay at the beginning, I'm okay at the end, but I'm not always okay in the middle. And sometimes I gotta take a break, listen to my intuition, and then go back to it. And it also helps us align with our authentic self. Our intuition guides us towards choices that are more aligned with our authentic self, promoting a sense of fulfillment and purpose. Too many times we are making decisions not based on our authentic self and who we actually are, but based on what we believe society wants us to do, what our friends want us to do, what our family wants us to do, but not what we want to do or what we as an individual need to do. And then it helps us to identify red flags. So we're having a first date with a person, and the person starts talking and telling us about their lives. And in our minds, we could think, oh, this is great. He's a successful businessman, and he's got children, and he's a single father raising his children, and he used to be a musician, and he used to have a band. This is great. He's got his life together. But when you tap into your intuition, you start hearing between the lines. Start hearing that he makes himself out to be better than he is. And when you tap into your intuition and you see those red flags, like he's always deciding what you're going to do, you only get to see him when he wants to. And he gets angry when you speak up for yourself in situations. These are all red flags. If you get a check in your spirit about him on the first date, then you should run away and run away quickly. It would save us time on first dates if we would just tap into our intuition, because it's going to tell us whether or not this person is good for us. And then it brings us inner peace. When we listen to our intuition, it brings us inner peace. So what are some ways that we can develop and strengthen our intuition? One is by meditation. for me, this is not about, sitting cross-legged on the floor and, saying, it's not that for me. It's getting quiet within myself, settling my thoughts, and listening to what comes up. I do this specifically in the mornings when I first wake up. I will stay in bed a little bit longer, and I will just go within. I will be quiet, and I will listen to what my intuition is telling me. Specifically, if you've got a problem and you don't know how to fix it, if you'll take time to go inside, be quiet, settle down, and listen to your intuition, it usually will give you the answer. Next, we need to pay attention to our dreams. So when our cognitive mind is busy, it tends to override our intuition and our subconscious mind. So when we're asleep, our cognitive mind is at rest, and it opens up space for our unconscious mind to signal us in our dreams. So we need to pay attention to our dreams. We need to put a notebook or our phone next to our bed and on the nightstand, and we need to write down our dreams in the mornings. A lot of people say that they don't dream, but what tends to happen is if you put that notebook there, you tend to remember your dreams more often. When you start recording your dreams, you start to remember them more often. And I don't know how many times I will be worried about something. I will go to bed and I will see the solution happen in my dreams. Or in high school, I'd be worried about a test, and then I'd see myself get an A on that test. And when that test came back in real life, there was the A. But sometimes you will get the creative solution to your problem in your dreams because your unconscious mind, your intuition can't get it to you in real life. So put a notebook next to your bed. Put your phone next to your bed so you can record your dreams. And pay attention to those symbols in your dreams. And get one of those dream interpretation books on Kindle or borrow it from the library so that you can see what some of those symbols actually mean in your dreams. And then get creative. Engage in creative activities such as drawing or scrapbooking or painting, because it quiets the mind and allows your intuition to speak to you. When we're engaged in a creative activity, we are thinking about that activity, and we are not thinking about how we're going to market that book, how we're going to get that promotion, how we're going to write that bestseller, or how we're going to get that television series off the ground. We're not thinking about what is going wrong in our lives. We're focusing on that creative endeavor. That's when we need to pay attention to what is coming into our spirits. We need to trust our hunches. So if you've got a feeling that this person who walked in for this interview, that there's something wrong, then go with it. If you have a feeling that that guy that your best friend is dating is bad news, tell her. You might not be right, but you might be right. In this day and age, to balance out our logic, we would do a background check on that guy your friend is seeing. And then check your body. Your intuition speaks to you through your body. And the more you cultivate awareness of this, the more sensitive you're going to become. So if you get an uncomfortable feeling when you're trying to make a decision, pay attention. Do you feel light? Do you feel heavy? Do you get a sick feeling in your gut? Are you settled with a headache? Or Are you sick to your stomach? It could be the result of a stress response activated by false fear, but it could also be your intuition trying to tell you something. One of the things I do when I am trying to make a decision between one thing or another, or whether I need to do something or not, is, do I feel peace? Because it's trying to give you a signal by whether or not you feel peace. If you feel uneasy about a situation or a certain decision, if you feel sick to your stomach or you get a headache or any of the like, then don't do it. If, however, when you think about doing that or making that decision, you feel peace, you feel light, then do it. Go with what gives you peace. Don't go with what makes you uneasy, because that uneasiness is trying to tell you not to do that certain thing. And we need to escape from our daily routine. So when we need to make a decision and we want to figure out what our intuition is telling us, get away from what you're doing. Go for a walk. Go on a retreat. Go on a staycation, like spend the night in a hotel in your same town. Spend the day in new surroundings. Maybe go to Starbucks for the day. Maybe go to the mall for the day. Maybe, go on a train ride or go to a different state. But by changing our surroundings, we are changing our perspective, and we're able to quiet down more when we're away from the situation, and then we can tune into our intuition. By clearing our schedule, we can see if our intuition starts to speak. And we need to spend time in nature. So, like I said, go for a walk. Spend time outdoors, maybe go camping. Anything that's physical, do something physical. Go fishing, go for a walk, go rock climbing. Do something physical in nature. And then we need to learn from the past. Recall a negative experience we've had in our past, ideally from our fairly recent past. What did you feel before that negative experience? Did you get some kind of sense, some kind of check in your spirit before you had that happen to you, before you experienced that? Because that could be some kind of foreshadowing. So maybe you had a foreshadowing dream or vision right before that. And had you paid attention to it, maybe you wouldn't have had that negative situation. But we need to try to recall when we've had a negative situation and we had some kind of foreshadowing before it, because that will help us pay attention in the future to those foreshadowings, those dreams, those visions, those checks in our spirits. And we need to feel more, think less. So the mind thinks, always chattering away, arguing with itself like a crazy person. The intuition, on the other hand, feels. So if you're not sure whether you're listening to your fearful mind or your trustworthy intuition, are you feeling or are you thinking? For me, at least, what tends to happen is when it's my mind, it comes from here. And when it's my gut, it comes from here, or my stomach. So we tend to feel our intuition. Our intuition feels. It speaks to us, in our gut. It speaks to us in our heart, so that it's not in our mind. That's why we need to quiet our mind and figure out what we're feeling and what comes up in our spirits. And then we need to engage in repetitive motions, such as running or dancing or, making dinner, like chopping carrots, playing the piano or painting, because these physical actions will calm your cognitive mind and open up your intuition. Similar to, engaging in creative activities, when we engage in things that are mundane activities, our mind will quiet, and then we'll be able to hear what's going on in our gut. And then we need to align ourselves with our values. Our mind will steer us away from our integrity, but our intuition never will. It will never steer you wrong. We need to be comfortable with how we feel when we're betraying our values. We need to learn what intuition doesn't feel like, and we need to learn what it does feel like. We need to learn what it feels like to behave in alignment with our values, and then we'll start to sense our intuition more clearly. And then we need to practice sensing into people before we know them. What do you feel when you meet somebody for the first time? Do you feel excited? Do you feel energized? Or do you feel deflated? Do you feel like they're criticizing everything you do and say? Because those are indications that your intuition is trying to tell you something. If you start feeling anxiety when you're around this person, don't be around that person. But we need to, go with our intuition on people. We need to be kind, but we need to also be cautious. If our intuition is giving us a check in our spirit about a person, we need to be cautious of our dealings with that person. We need to be careful what kind of information we give them and how trusting we are of them. We need to just practice listening to our intuition, practice being quiet, practice gauging our gut, do things that are mundane and do things that are creative, and walk in nature so that we can listen to our intuition. And you might want to take out a journal and record how many times you listen to your intuition, what it's saying, and how many times you follow it and how many times it's right. Because once you see that pattern of how many times your intuition is correct in a situation, you will listen to it more because you'll gain momentum. You'll understand that this is a vital part of decision making. Not only should we use our logical brains, but we should also use our intuition, because the two of them together will give us a clear picture of what is going on. Our logic and what we see on paper is not necessarily the truth. If we listen to our intuition in addition to our logic, we will get a true understanding of what is going on. So as we conclude this insightful journey into the realm of intuition, remember that your inner compass is a powerful guide in navigating life's complexities. Harnessing the wisdom within can lead to more authentic decisions and a profound connection with your true self. We hope that this exploration has inspired you to trust the subtle whispers of intuition, paving the way for a more conscious and fulfilling life. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content on personal growth, mindfulness, and navigating life with wisdom. Thank you for joining us on this journey of self-discovery through the art of listening to your intuition. Stay tuned for more empowering insights, and may your journey be filled with clarity, purpose, and the guiding light of your intuition. Until next time.
Learn more about Anna Gale or to purchase her fiction and nonfiction books, go to AnnaGaleLines.com. That is AnnaGaleLynes.com. Right now, you can buy 3 ebooks and get the 4th one free. There you can sign up for the newsletter to keep up to date on what is happening in the world of the Anna Gale Lines podcast and her science fiction podcast, The Space-Tastic Mysteries, where you can hear installments of her novels. To follow her on social media, it is Anna Gale Lines on Twitter, Lady Anna Gale on TikTok, Anna Gale Lines Artist on Instagram, at the Anna Gale Lines Podcast on YouTube. You can join the Facebook page at Author Anna Gale. Thank you for listening and thank you for being you.